Hi, my peeps. I am at my friend Russ and Cheryl's house, having driven down here 8 hours yesterday from Brookings to Lincoln, which is right near Sacramento. And you guys are familiar with what's going on. Today, I got here really well and had no problems with the day. And really, I mean, I've always enjoyed driving, and even as a little kid, mostly riding in the car. I wasn't one of those "are we there yet" kids, because I just liked being in the car. And then as soon as I could drive, I liked driving, and I've driven myself all over the country for different jobs and visits and all this kind of stuff ever since I was, as soon as I was out of the house. And as an adult, I lived different places and I drove myself everywhere I went, and always enjoyed it, always traveled. And the dislike of having to drive is not something that I've ever experienced before. I really love to drive, and I missed driving for the 7, 8, 9 months I was off the road because of various things going on. So yesterday was a real treat for me, driving down here from San Francisco. It was also a test drive. I mean, I went through an hour of rush hour San Francisco I don't know why I'm saying that. Sacramento, okay? I'm going nowhere near San Francisco ever again in my life, probably. Sacramento, we're talking about. So anyway, every situation was tested. The first 3 hours of the trip is through some windy territory that varies between 50, 55 miles an hour, and curves that are usually 30 miles an hour curves. And this is just on a 2-lane highway through a big river gorge. Okay, so there was that territory, 3 hours right at the beginning, where you really have to pay attention, because if you make a mistake, if you miscalculate and you miscalculate a curve, or somebody else comes around a corner a little too wide on the one side that you're traveling most of the time, you'll get knocked over like a 200-foot side and land down in the river. So it's high stakes bingo, that trip. And if you're not very, very alert, and some of the curves are vertical cliff here, cliff down to the river here, and barely enough to accommodate 2 vehicles. So I love that trip. It is absolutely gorgeous. But if you don't pay attention to your driving, or you're hampered in any way, can't even tell you the number of people that die on that road every year. So that one was very, very fine. No problems at all. Enjoyable, beautiful, and cool. So then comes the part that's after Medford, Oregon. And that's where you get onto I-5, Grants Pass, Medford. And it's all big, wide highway, engineered for the conditions, because that's also through the mountains. Goes from the Siskiyou Mountains over to Mount Shasta, and then down through the very northern part of California, which has its challenges too, because it's kind of like the same terrain as the little more twisty road, but it's on a bigger scale. So there too, if you get your curves out of control, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, but except on a road occupied by thousands of cars going between 65 and 75 miles an hour. But the curves are only 55-mile-an-hour curves, sometimes 50-mile-an-hour curves. And if you don't watch those signs that say, yeah, this is a 75-mile-an-hour highway, but this next curve can't take any more than 55 miles an hour, you will get caught by surprise. It's excellent driving practice. And lots of semis. So you come around the corner to, you're on a hill, you come around a corner, and all of a sudden in front of you, there will be 15 tractor trailer trucks all going 40 up the hill because they can't go any faster. So you really, even on that road, you have to really keep your eyes out, even though it's a regular superhighway. If you don't watch what you're doing, you're going to end up in trouble. So all of that was great driving practice. Then you get down to south of Reading, which I would really describe as flat farmland, multi-lane highway going pretty fast. So that was all the way to just outside of arriving here at Lincoln, which is just outside of Sacramento, and close enough that they enjoy a rush hour traffic situation. So that was the last hour of the drive, and it was, if the traffic was loose and moving, you could go 40 to 50, but all over the place, little places where you'd be down to just sitting in the middle of the highway waiting for the pack to de-solidify and move forward again. And so I find that kind of driving very risky. I think that's what's risky about some of the driving situations out here, is not so much what you think it would be, the speed and all of that kind of stuff. It's that almost every place you drive, your rate of travel can drop from 75 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour in very little time. Very little time. So you got to watch all the time. You can be on a straight going, beautiful 75-mile-an-hour highway and run into a clot of traffic that's stopped in the middle of the road because they're all blocked up ahead. So this may be obvious to some people, but I mean, Western driving was a whole different thing to learn for me, because it's pretty challenging in some regards. But anyway, I made it here. Cheryl and Russ had eaten already because I was a little later than expected, and I was glad that they did. And I had leftover roast chicken, and there's nothing like a traditional roast chicken dinner, is there? It's really good. Gravy and mashed potatoes and peas, and then I had the tough choice for desserts of Toll House cookies or custard pie. So, I'm not spoiled or anything. I went to bed, had a good night's sleep, and now it's after breakfast. I've had my coffee and my pills. Well, it's almost noon, and I'm headed back to bed for a nap, because there were parts of the travel that were kind of exhausting for me. And I'm going to use this day to catch up before I resume travel tomorrow. So anyway, I figured I'd update you before I went for my nap. The bottom line for the next set of travel is that plans have changed. One reason is because I figured out yesterday that my left eye is useless for vision driving. When I won't go into all the detail about how I found this out, but I finally figured out to cover my right eye and see through my left, and then cover my left eye and see through my right, because it felt like there was a real discrepancy, and it had been bugging me for a while. And what I found out was that through my left eye, if I am 6 feet from a person known to me, I cannot, if they don't speak or move or do something to give away who they are, I can't discriminate their face. It's just all, it's fuzzy, no detail, not a clean line anywhere, just all fuzzy, and shapes and colors. That's basically all I can see. I can't tell what things are. And I was noticing a real depth perception problem, which is what happens when you only have one eye, because the two eyes can't coordinate to show you the 3D effect. So you see more 2D. And so yesterday I was playing around a little bit with that in one of the rest stops, because I knew that I was having an issue. And as it happens, my left eye is basically, in terms of driving, it's blind. It can see shapes and colors, but that's about it. But fortunately, my right eye is good. So I can still see to drive, but I lack the depth perception, which, if you think back to what we were just discussing with fast stops and times when you got to slow your butt down really quickly, that was, I'm very grateful to have the car that I have, because it starts slowing down for me. It's a great, great feature to have this car, that if it senses cars up ahead slowing down, it starts the slowing down process itself. And half the time, it was the car letting me know that it was time to slow down, because it takes a hyper alertness to detect that if you have poor depth perception in your eyes. So, long story short, I do not feel that I am safe driving the rest of the way to LA. And the other thing that I found out was, when you live up in Brookings, the temperature is hardly ever above 60 degrees. And I found out driving through the 98-degree territory between Mount Ashland and Sacramento, 98 degrees, and I had no air conditioning. So it was like the road trips when I was a kid, where all the windows were open and you couldn't talk without yelling. But I kind of enjoyed it. It was okay. I really liked it okay. And with the breeze on me, it kept me from feeling too hot. But of course, that adds to your travel weariness. And I'm only going further south. So I don't think driving is in the cards in LA in a vehicle with no air conditioning for me at this point. But I am very encouraged by having gotten to Sacramento. I know it will be fine going back. And I'm taking an airplane from Sacramento to Los Angeles. And takes an hour and a half. Total cost wasn't even $300. And so that's my solution. Tomorrow I'll go to the airport. Cheryl's going to take me about noontime, and next Wednesday I'll come back by plane and get in about 2:15, and no worries about transportation at all. I'll just there's public transportation in LA. You got enough money, you can go wherever you want, just all over the place. So, and somebody else driving you, it's like having a personal chauffeur. You just call Lyft or what's that other one? Uber, although I like Lyft better. Do it all on my phone, including tip the driver, and just wherever I want to go. I got somebody who's familiar with driving around LA to take me there. If I was circuit rider, I would go in and out of the airport with no checked luggage and catch one of those little scooters that you pay I don't know how much for, and you can go wherever you want. He doesn't even he never carries bags that need to be checked. So he just tosses his backpack over his shoulder, jumps on one of those little electric scooters, and came one time when we were at the apartment that was in LA, when we lived there for me to have my surgery. which isn't that long ago. He walked part of the way because he couldn't get an Uber. It was too busy. And then he saw one of those little cycles and threw his backpack over his shoulders, got on the little cycle, and came like 5 miles back to the apartment. But I'm not quite, my balance and the amount of stuff that I have to carry around prohibits that for me right now. But doesn't it sound enticing? Oh man, it's an amazing time we live in. Anyway, so that thing is solved. All I got to do is, I'm flying in tomorrow, and I'll take a Lyft or an Uber over to DeRay's house and stay Friday and Saturday night with her in Santa Monica, which is the next town south of Westwood. And then Sunday afternoon, I'll go and check into the hotel that's nice and close to the hospital and get ready for my big day on Monday. And then I have a day off on Tuesday because I don't want to do all that big medical stuff, and then travel the next day. And then on Wednesday, back to the airport, and off I go. An hour and a half flight between Sacramento and LA. Not bad, huh? So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I thought I'd let you all know. And now this tired-looking, puffy-faced drag butt girl is going to take another nap because the best thing I can do for myself is stay ahead of my needs for rest. So then I'll get up and have a shower, and the Desmonds and I will have some supper, and life is interesting. I really dislike flying, but at least, and it's not for any reason about the flying. Flying used to be great. Those of you who never got to fly in the 60s and 70s and early 80s, you really missed out on something, because everybody in your party could go sit and wait with you at the gate if they wanted to. I mean, it was just so free and easy. And I have my opinions. You all know that I can't keep myself from expressing them. But no security theater, no, just everything about flying these days, everything is stupid and ineffective in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. And the reason that it's really stupid is because there are places doing it the right way and have been for years. And they don't have any of the stupid structure that we have supposedly to keep us safe. So that's my opinion on that. Every now and then my prickles come out, and I make no apologies. So you're all caught up. I'm sleepy. So I think the solution is to say, I love you. I'm going to have a nap now, and I'll keep you posted on the rest of this trip. I'm very pleased with how everything's working out so far. Time of traveling the whole thing on my own and not having any problem with it is very close as cataract surgery and an air conditioning fix for the car. Those are the two things that are keeping me from completing this trip. One's a comfort issue, but one is seriously got to get resolved before I do any city driving. Love you guys. I hope you're having a good day. I am. Bye-bye.